Okay, it looks like it's 7 o'clock. We're going to get started. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. If you are able, please join me in rising as we pledge allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, again, welcome to the Bloomfield Township Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for November 12th, 2024. As a brief introduction, the Zoning Board of Appeals is a 7-member quasi-judicial body appointed by the Bloomfield Township Board of Trustees per the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act. Matters pending before the Zoning Board of Appeals are decided on a case-by-case basis. Any appeal of a decision made by the Zoning Board of Appeals is subject to circuit court review. Each case will be called separately in the order shown on tonight's agenda. There will be an opportunity for public comment at one point during each case. All persons wishing to comment will be asked to provide their name and address at the podium. Address your comments to the board and not to the applicant or other members of the public. Given the number of appeals tonight, please make your comments brief. Comments made by the Neighborhood Association will be considered as part of the factual information presented to the board, but is not the determining factor for approval or denial. Please confine your comments to the specific requests before the board. For a request to be successful, an affirmative vote of at least 4 members present is required. We hope this provides a better understanding of what you can expect at tonight's meeting. So thank you, and we will, I need approval for attendance, or take attendance, please.
So noted.
Okay, and a motion to approve the minutes.
I would move. Okay, I'll second.
I have a motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect, motion passes. And then, just so that everyone knows, we do have a postponed item, which is agenda item number 14, which is 6895 Cedar Brook Drive. So if anyone is here for that, that is postponed possibly to the next meeting. So with that, we will move to calling up our first applicant.
About the minutes?
Yeah,
They did.
We approved the minutes, yes.
Ford and Rosati.
Okay. All right, so first item, 196 South Williamsbury Road. Is the applicant here? Okay, please come up. Please come to the podium.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening. Please state your name, address, and a brief summary of your request.
Brad Ziegler and Rebecca Abramson. We live at 196 South Williamsbury Road in Bloomfield Township, and we are looking to make our forever home. And due to, as you can see on the sketch there and survey, we have a very unusually shaped backyard and a pie-shaped lot, which pinches in the back and then slants on the back. So we worked with an architect exhaustively to make sure that we could fit an attached garage on and improve in our community, our property, and make a house that we can live in forever.
Are there any questions from the board?
Yes, I have a question. Did you run this through the association?
Yes,
They're here today.
and they are here with us.
And we actually submitted this originally in March 2020. The next day, the world shut down.
Things got interesting.
We Zoomed with you guys in June, a few months later, and we got approval, but then inflation priced us out, and so we saved our money, and now we're back before you.
Yeah, so this project was approved in 2020.
Yes.
Correct, yes.
Mhm. Okay. Well, then, if there's no more questions from the board, I'll open up for public comment. Anyone like to speak to this matter? Please come up to the podium and state your name and address.
Hi, my name is John Kessler. I'm here with my wife, Andrea. We live at 178 South Williamsbury, right next door. I think as I go back in time, to the COVID days. We have really two concerns. We have no objection to the idea of the Ziegler's building a garage. We do have a problem with expanding the width of their driveway. We do have a problem with their encroaching on the setback as much as they are, because that creates some issues for our property. We have a row of arborvitae that are very mature. They're 12-ish feet high, and they are very thick, and they create a great personal barrier. Not that we want to be separated from them, but it does allow us to have privacy that we would not have if they were not there. With the expansion of the setback, it has a great opportunity to risk a large amount of those arborvitae, if not all of them. Some of them appear to be on his property. I don't know that. Some of them are clearly on our property. I do know that. And how that is adjudicated creates an opportunity where maybe we could work something out where if he didn't take as much of the setback, we wouldn't have a problem. The other issue that I brought up was the driveway. I spoke with our landscaper. He has a PhD in horticulture. So he's more than just, I'm a sales guy, but he's more than just a sales guy. He's very knowledgeable. And he said, if they are going to put cement, which would happen if they expand that driveway, too close to those roots, he will end up hurting that tree. He said, I can't tell you the result of that. It could make the tree sick. It could make the tree dead. It could weaken the structure of the tree in the ground such that if the appropriate winds came up, it could topple the tree because of the root structure not being fully invested in the ground to keep it stable. That creates a safety issue. So I guess our position is if we can reduce that setback that they're looking for, if we could protect those arborvitae, if we can protect that tree, we're fine. We have no objections at all. That would be my comment.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak to this? Please step up. Please state your name, address. Oh, I'm sorry.
I just wanted
You tricked me.
I wanted to clarify. Brad Ziegler, I'm the owner of the property with my wife, Rebecca. So,
One second. Let me just make sure there's no other public comments.
Oh,
and
sure,
then,
I'm sorry,
Then you
I
can come up
apologize.
and respond. We will give you an opportunity
Certainly.
to do that.
I apologize.
Oh, no problem. Anyone else like to speak to this matter? Please.
Good evening. My name is Tom Weiner, and my address is 387 South Williamsbury Road, Bloomfield Township. I am the immediate past president of the Bloomfield Village South Homeowners Association. And I was the president of the Homeowners Association when Mr. Ziegler first presented his request for a variance in 2020. And I wrote a letter to the township, I believe, in support of that, because the township, the Homeowners Association believes that the members of our community who are willing to make significant investment in their own property should enjoy the benefits of that. I have seen the property. I have talked to both the neighbor and Mr. Ziegler about, Mr. Kessler and Mr. Ziegler about the concerns that have been evinced here this evening. And my understanding is that the property has been surveyed and that the vegetation that it now provides some privacy to Mr. Kessler's backyard and patio grow on the property of Mr. Ziegler. And my understanding is also that anything that grows over Mr. Kessler's property, he is free to trim to whatever length he cares to preserve, to avoid intrusion. As for cement and maple trees, I have 2 maple trees on my property. One of them grows between the sidewalk and the street in a space about that wide. So I'm not concerned that the depth of the driveway would cause irreparable damage to a maple tree that is not even, it is not contingent to the cement itself. But I don't know that, so I'm just working on what I do know about some maple trees that do fine in proximity to cement. I was asked by Mr. Ziegler to update the approval of the Homeowners Association for his project going forward, as it was in 2020, and has it changed not significantly since then. And I still believe that it will be a great improvement to the community, and as such, be an improvement. It'd be a benefit to everyone in the community. It shows a conviction that the community is worth investment. Did I answer any questions?
Any question for the board?
Okay.
No? Okay, thank you. Please.
Hello, I'm Phil Anstead. I live across the street, 171 South Williamsbury. It's been there 38 years. I really just wanted at a high level to say I welcome an investment in anyone who wants to renovate, improve their house. We haven't had a lot of it over the years. Been a little disappointing, so I'm excited that somebody's actually doing it, and whatever issues, hopefully they can work out, and we can have that investment in the neighborhood. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak?
Hey guys, Doug Seeley, 414 South Williamsbury, the current president. I won't be nearly as articulate as the former president. 414 South Williamsbury. Hadn't really talked to either individual about the situation. Tom and I did kind of walk down and take a look at everything. I've done real estate for 28 years. I've built, I've developed, I've gone to several variance meetings. There's nothing in there that seems absurd to me or seems like that I wouldn't go with it. It was looks like a great project, looks like a great commitment to the area, looks like a great commitment for the subdivision, and me personally, I would be in support of it.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anyone else like to speak? Okay, then I'm going to close the public hearing, and then the applicant can come back up and respond to any comments that you've heard.
In regards to the red cedars that are between our property, per the survey, the root ball originates on my side of the property. So I did speak to an arborist about this initially when I began this process. Because the root ball does this in 2 stalks, his advice was in the middle of the winter sometime when they're dormant is when you want to cut it back. The other stalks should survive. We can't promise that, but there's a very good bet. They're very mature. They've been there for a long time. Even after the last ice storm, which took quite a toll on them, they're still thriving. I don't want to take that down. I love the privacy. That was one of the big selling points of the property. So I've always wanted to maintain that. We may have to cut it back a bit. Again, because there are 2 stalks, you should be able to take the 1 stalk off and reclaim some of that property. We want to improve on our property. We don't want to have to move. We don't want to have to go anywhere else. We love it. We love our community. And we know we've spoken with other residents in the area that support us on this. They want to do the same thing eventually down the line. I think we may see a bit of a chain reaction after that. We have a great community, and unfortunately, there's just much smaller lots than the rest of the township. And
Question.
certainly, I'm sorry, I was going to add one thing. We are certainly willing, if anything was to ever happen to the vegetation, we did make the initial offer that we would put up a privacy fence if we had to, if there was an outfall from that. We don't anticipate that, but we're certainly willing to do that if that helps. And Mr. Kessler and I can absolutely work on a solution for that.
I just had a quick question. I don't see floor plans for what's happening in that attachment, but also addressing, the size of the accessory structure relative to the house. What is occurring in that attachment and
In the garage or the space between?
the space between them?
Essentially just more living space. It will open to the kitchen. And I'm a commercial photographer. I'll have a storage locker there for my gear, which going through the garage is a lot better than trying to move light stands and large lighting devices through a front door and a storm door.
Yeah.
It becomes really complicating. So that would make a massive improvement to my life. I'm also a cyclist. Having a little bit of a work area there and some place to not have bicycles in the middle of my house right now would be a massive improvement.
Okay. So you're gaining functional space in there, because it's,
Oh,
I
yes.
was just wondering if, some of the variances could be lessened by pulling or tightening that in.
Mudroom, storage locker, and then expanded living space.
Okay. So I'm wondering, even if the calculation, was that just the garage, or if he's expanding living space and just the garage is accessory?
We can pull that.
Then my other question was, so where are the trees primarily along there? Can your driveway narrow down some, backing space out of the garage and then narrow it,
Sure.
a little bit?
Can I
to protect
approach and
those
show you?
trees? Yeah.
Would that help?
I think they have a pointer.
My arms aren't that long.
She has a pointer that you could use,
We do have a pointer garages usually. Should be able to have a curve.
like a laser pointer.
So the question is does the 713 include the breezeway?
Well, I don't see
It's only
anything.
13 feet.
She'll give you one in a moment.
What this calculation is, and there's no
Okay, go ahead.
When you referred to your garage space being 700 square feet, were you referring to just this area, or were you referring to
Yes.
the entire thing?
I believe just the garage on the blueprint.
Yeah. So to answer your question, it appears that it is noted correctly
That
within your
the
agenda.
garage is 700
Correct.
square feet.
It's 13 square feet over.
But the house is larger. Did you account for larger living space in that percentage? Just trying to help.
No, good point. That's actually a good point, because if we're looking at, if we can identify this area as livable space, if you can, if you could take 13 square feet from this area, then you should be able to eliminate that variance. Would you agree, Patty?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I would.
So I think we could eliminate the 13 extra square feet to,
Yeah,
for
'cause the
around the
living
half.
space is getting larger relative to.
Thank you, good point, though. Thank you for that.
So my observation here is, with that variance aside, I'm just concerned. I recognize that it is a uniquely shaped lot, so I think that some variance is probably required and reasonable and necessary. But, when you're talking 11 feet into 16 feet and then 24 to 35 feet, one important thing to keep in mind is we have these setbacks because we like our property sizes. In Bloomfield, we like having our privacy. So when I start to see that large of an encroachment, that becomes, troublesome. So I'm curious if you could reduce that and still accomplish what you're looking to do.
Sure. One of the issues that we have going on is part of that yellow that you see right now is the existing patio. It's already there. That's not being built on, that's existing. So we're enclosing it and then attaching the garage to it, if that makes sense. On top of that,
Okay, I'm just trying to show an arrow there. Is this the patio you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
so that's already existing. We're taking advantage of the fact that there's already superstructure and foundation there. Two, instead of demoing it, we'd rather not demo that. On top of that, the setbacks that are for Bloomfield Township versus what we have in Bloomfield Village are quite different. Our lots are tiny, and I'd say a vast majority of the driveways and garages that are on every property in the village sit right within a foot or two of the line. Those setbacks are completely different.
Okay, so I take that to say that you don't think that you could move in even.
We'd be losing living space.
Okay.
So is there a possibility of narrowing the driveway as you come
Certainly.
towards the front and protecting, some of those?
We are willing to narrow the driveway to some degree. It's already narrow as it is. but we could narrow it and take that concession if we needed to. As far as the hedges go, the root balls originate on our side. We just want to trim them back. We don't want to eradicate them. We love the privacy.
Ah, floor plans, thank you.
Sorry about that.
Yep.
This being different, I mean, in our neighborhood, it's very common to have a single that goes up into a double.
Can you please come up to the mic,
yeah.
sir, so we can hear you? Be recognized by the chair.
Just
Doug
give your
Se-
name again.
Doug
I know
Seeley.
you've been up before.
Yeah, Doug Seeley. So just for a broader scope, in our neighborhood, it's very normal to have a two-car detached pinched into the corner, pretty much on the boundary line, a foot off the fence line, 2 feet off the fence line, with a single drive that widens out into a double. I almost think they're giving a little bit more space by bringing it in and attaching it versus, stuffing it into the corner where you're going to be on everybody's boundary lines. I think every house in our subdivision with a two-car detached garage probably violates every variance. But I mean, it was standard and commonplace at the time to always have that two-car detached sitting in the backside. But single lane into a double lane. I mean, when I did mine's 11 or 12 feet wide, and all I had to do was get an Oakland County permit to redo the driveway, and I could make it as wide as I wanted. So I'm just throwing that out there just to give you perspective for what it looks like in our neighborhood.
Okay. Thank you. I've closed the public hearing. I'm sorry. I did let him speak because he was the association president, but
I didn't know if you have any more questions for me or not.
any other questions from the board? Are you anyone ready to
Are the
make a-
calculations correct where it's 13 square feet for the variance?
But we've determined that based on the floor plan and based on Glenda's wonderful observation, her architectural eye, that because they're adding on living space, thus increasing the ground floor area of their house, they're going to make up that 13 square foot difference, no longer needing that variance.
Thank you.
More questions? Anybody would like to make a motion?
Okay, with respect to property located at 196 South Williamsbury Road, I would move to grant the request for a dimensional variance for the garage to encroach into the required northerly side and rear setbacks in conformance with the plan submitted because the applicant has demonstrated practical difficulty. Compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would be burdensome due to the small size of the lots in that area, and this is an odd-shaped lot that's also on a curve. There's no injustice to the adjoining neighbors. There is screening that exists on the one side with the neighbor that has raised an objection, and the applicant has demonstrated an intent to maintain that screening in some fashion. And as stated, there are unique circumstances with the property, as I've described before, and this is not self-created due to the unique circumstances of the property. If approved, application for all necessary permits must be made within 1 year. All permits must be obtained prior to commencing installation.
Support?
Okay, I have a motion and support. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I am opposed.
Motion carries 5-1.
Congrats, your request is approved.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, next item.
Oh, I forgot I had a docu cam still. Move them up.
Okay. Item number 2.
Good evening.
Oh, good evening.
My name is Christian Jolie, accompanied by my daughter Christina Jolie. We are at 4081 Nearbrook Drive, Bloomfield Hills. We purchased a home over this summer, and we are putting a lot of time and effort into updating the exterior and hoping to spend the winter on the interior remodel. We did roof, driveway, a lot of different improvements on the exterior of the home. The front of our home, facing the street, had existing 4-foot wall that was right in front of our property. That was overgrown with vegetation. And once we started clearing up the property, the bushes, we found out that the wall was collapsing because there was a couple of trees were close to the wall, and the roots of the trees were uplifting the footing of the wall. So we contacted the expert to see if we can salvage the wall and repair it, and it was too far damaged that we'll have to redo all the footing and build a new wall. At that time, we thought just in the same line, put 2 columns on the end and do some bushes and shrubs, which I think it turned out nicer than the wall would. And they're just landscaping posts. They have no lights or lanterns on them. So that's why we're here. We didn't change any easement, or it's exactly same line where the wall stood. It's just instead of having a continuous wall, we have 2 columns on the end and the same line.
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, I do. So the piers are non-illuminated?
Yes, they're not illuminated.
Okay.
They just have a landscape lighting hitting them at night from the
Okay,
grass.
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, and so basically, the wall's in the same location as the prior wall, but not as
Absolutely.
large?
Exactly.
And the piers are basically in the same location, but not as big?
Exactly.
Okay. And the same distance from the road that existed before?
Everything is 1,000,000% same
Okay.
line as it was before. We just removed the wall. Instead of the wall, it's
Okay.
2 columns on the end.
So unfortunately, you didn't know you had to come to us to.
No, I had no clue. Honestly, I
Just have to get it on the
I think
record.
we should have some pre-existing or
Yeah, I
before
sent some
picture.
photos of the wall before. I don't know if they're in the slide.
While you're looking for those, just to let you know, I was looking, you've got a rather large backyard
Yes.
on this property. Little note to self, if you're doing anything in your yard, come into the planning department
Yes.
first
No,
and see if
absolutely.
you have to get,
No.
because even if you don't need a
Yeah.
variance, you may need to get permission
Yeah.
from us.
I understand.
Any other questions from the board? All right, well, I'll open the public hearing. Would anyone like to speak to this matter? Okay, then I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for discussion or a motion.
I'll make a motion. In regards to the appeal at 4081 Nearbrook Road, I will move to approve the permission request for the piers that are already installed. My permission request. The applicant has submitted drawings that demonstrate compliance with the 42-7.6 standards. The size of the accessory structures are compatible with adjoining properties. The use of the accessory structure is appropriate for the neighborhood, and it is harmonious with the neighborhood given that there was already a wall existing in that location. Regards to the dimensional variance, I also move that the dimensional variance be approved based on the drawings submitted. The applicant has demonstrated standards for practical difficulty. Again, the compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would be unduly burdensome due to the existing placement of the wall that was there. The unique circumstance of the property have been demonstrated, and it is not self-created. Should this motion be approved, application for all necessary permits must be made within 1 year.
5 business.
Actually, is it 30 days?
5 business days,
Yeah,
yes.
5 business days, and must be obtained prior to construction. I'm not going to require additional evergreen plantings. I think the green that's in there accents the landscape.
Support.
I have a motion in support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
you, guys.
Good evening.
Good evening. Okay. Item number 3, at 6089 Old Orchard Drive, is the applicant, oh, there you are. Hi.
My name is Sabrina with Mosier Design, and I'm here on behalf of the homeowners at 6089 Old Orchard Drive. We are here today asking for a dimensional variance for 2 landscape walls and 2 non-illuminated piers in the front yard. Although this is a dimensional variance, this is a common feature in the neighborhood and the community. We designed this feature to be in keeping with the neighborhood's stately presence by extending the architecture of the house out into the property. This request is fairly straightforward, so I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board?
What's the distance to the road from the piers?
I believe it is 22 foot 7 inches roughly.
The road or the right-of-way?
That is to the road.
Okay.
And the height of the piers again?
The height of the piers are 50 inches, and then the wall's about 42 at the highest, and then it tapers down to 18.
Any other questions? And I'll open the public hearing. Would anyone like to speak to this matter? And I'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the board for any discussion or a motion.
I can make a motion here. So I'll start with the permission request at 6089 Old Orchard Drive for the wall and piers. I'm going to move that those be approved as submitted based on the information presented. The applicant demonstrated compliance with section 42-7.6 standards because these accessory structures are appropriate to the neighborhood as they are a common feature in that part of the township. With regard to the dimensional variance at that same address for the wall and piers located in the front yard, I'm going to move that that also be approved as requested. Based on the information presented, the applicant demonstrated all the standards for practical difficulty. Compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would be unduly burdensome because of the lot size. Having these walls and piers helps to demarcate the driveway for visitors to the property. There is no injustice to the adjoining neighbor by reason of the fact that these are common accessory structures that we do find, and the unique circumstances with the property have been demonstrated, again, given the size of the lot and the length of the driveway. This is not self-created due to the reasons stated above, and I will just add that you should get all necessary permits within 1 year and obtain them prior to construction, and there is no illumination allowed on the piers, and I will not require additional evergreen plantings.
Support?
Do I have a motion in support? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Okay, next up, moving right along, item number 4 at 410 North Evansdale Drive.
Hello, good evening. Just keep things moving along smooth. This one's pretty simple too. My name is Ellen Yerkes. I'm with Antonelli Landscape, representing 410 North Evansdale for Mr. John Oro, and we are seeking the approval for our pool fencing that has to be around the property to enclose the pool that was built this past season. This is a 4-foot-high black aluminum fence, tasteful as black aluminum fencing can be, so this certainly is not out of the normal for pool code fence. And the first diagram is very helpful as well as for the yellow line is showing the fence location. This will tie into the home on the
bottom
front
picture?
side and the back. No, the first slide had,
Oh, I'm
yeah.
sorry.
So this is where that shows where it ends to the house and encloses the property.
Are you also including a netted fence as well?
Correct.
For sports court?
The interior yellow line around the sports court is a 4-foot-high netting. Yes, thank you. I love pointy lasers. Okay, so this sports court here would be enclosed by like a ball netting. This is like a rope netting that has its own post, but that's 48 inches high, so it will allow the ball to stay inside rather than out to the road. Thank you. So I would answer any questions if there's anything that's not clear about our request.
Did you touch on the pier? Was there a request for piers also?
Yeah.
Did she talk about that?
Yes, that's shown in, can you go back to the picture of the front of the home?
No, the pier we determined would not require ZBA.
Oh, they require-
In relationship to the house. So I
So
apologize.
it's not required of you guys to decide on, so we're all set there.
So Andrea, it's just the dimensional variance for the fence, the two fences?
Correct, for being a secondary frontage.
Any other questions from the board? Then I'll open up the, did I open the public hearing? I don't think so. Okay. I'll open the public hearing. Does anybody like to speak to this matter? Then I'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the board if there's any questions or not, for a motion.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion for, in regards to the appeal, the dimensional variance appeal at 410 North Evansdale Drive. For the dimensional variance, I move the variance be approved as requested. Based on the information presented, the applicant did demonstrate all standards for practical difficulty because compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would be unduly burdensome due to the fact that the lot is a corner lot. Further, there's no injustice to adjoining neighbors by reason that it is consistent with other homes in the neighborhood that would have a pool and need a fence of the such. And unique circumstances with the property have been demonstrated given that it is a pool that needs to be contained, and as a result, it is not self-created. So, if approved, the motion must include application for all necessary permits to be made within 1 year for the proposed fence, ball containment netting, and all permits must be obtained prior to construction. Additional evergreen plantings may be required to screen the fence and netting from public view, and plantings must meet or exceed the height of the fence and netting at the time of installation for 12 months of the year. And there is no, well, we didn't talk about illumination. So that is the end of the motion.
Support.
Okay, I have a motion in support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, board. Have a good evening.
All right, next up, item number 5, 2718 Turtle Lake Drive. Is the applicant here? Hello, good evening.
Good.
I'm Sean Sherinian, my wife Lisa Sherinian, and our architect Tim. Engineer, sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
And we're seeking approval for a pergola.
It's an accessory structure in the rear yard.
Want to step up to the?
An accessory structure in the rear yard, a pergola. And it is, that's really it. It's, we did make a change though. We decreased the height. We realized that we had room that we could decrease the height. So it was proposed to be over 14, now it's 13'5".
Oh, good. That's perfect.
Yeah, and I think did you come before us before, or for some reason I think so, but anyway, you made the modification, so that's great.
It's just permission request.
Any questions from the board?
So this is just a permission request?
That's it.
Correct.
Then I'll open the public hearing. Anyone like to speak to this matter? I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the board if you have any questions or for a motion.
With regard to the property located at 2718 Turtle Lake Drive, I would move to grant the permission request for the pergola because the applicant has demonstrated compliance with section 42-7.6 standards. Specifically, the size, use, and location of the structure is appropriate for the neighborhood and harmonious with that neighborhood and will not negatively impact any adjoining properties. Application for all necessary permits must be made within 1 year. All permits must be obtained prior to construction. And that's it.
Do I have a motion in support? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you. Good night.
Have a good evening. All right, next up. Item number 6, 4871 Haddington Drive.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Lori Tennant, and this is my husband.
Gordon Cox.
We're at 4871 Haddington, and we're looking for approval to put a carport on an existing driveway. We have a beautiful yard that has lots of gardens around the area, and we have taken the garage, and I'm using it for my art studio, which was approved, and so we're looking for the approval on the carport.
Any questions from the
It
board?
meets all the variance requirements as far as we understand, and because we have plenty of room around the house away from the neighbors.
Any questions from the board? All right, then I'll open the public hearing. Would anyone like to speak to this item? I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for discussion or a motion.
You want to do it? I'll take by all.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I did have a question that you understand it's open to the air and you don't, a carport
Yes.
works for you?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I did have a question on carports in general.
Right.
Whether that's sort of.
It's better than having the snow on our cars.
No,
Because we
I know
haven't used
that,
the garage in a
but,
while, so yeah.
An actual structure that's not open is potentially more in keeping in Bloomfield Township than a carport, per se.
Yeah, we feel that it would disrupt the beautiful gardens that we've made on the property, and this way it'll be more airy in keeping with a kind of a mid-century look.
Did receive some letters.
I do know there are some carports around, particularly with the mid-century homes. They've got them.
Yeah, that was a style at one point.
Okay,
We did receive some
Have
letters.
you spoken with your neighbors at all about it?
Pardon me?
Have you spoken with your neighbors at all about it?
Yeah.
Okay. What, do you have positive feedback?
They're looking forward to it. They really love what we've done with the property so far and are looking forward to it.
We did have some, I believe we had some letters of opposition as well.
we did.
There were letters of
One?
opposition.
Is it just the one?
I think there was
I think there were more
a
than
couple.
one. There was more than one.
I only see one, okay. Did you open the public forum? I'm just curious.
I did.
Sorry, I'm slow.
Yeah.
So essentially, you only intend to park your cars in there?
Correct.
Because obviously, if you start using it as sort of an open storage area, that's going to be a real problem for
No.
neighbors and everyone else.
No, just for the cars.
And I think that may be some of the what people are concerned about and wondering why you aren't enclosing it as a garage. But if it's only used for the cars, that's a different situation.
Mm-hmm. Is there something in place like code enforcement if the neighbors are not happy with visual things being left out? Where will your trash cans be?
There's actually at the back of this carport, there is a storage space. So right along this is also connected to the house. So it really is an alteration. It's not a separate structure. And along the whole back, there will be a storage space, and our garbage cans will be behind that. And there'll be tools or our shovels or whatever inside that storage space.
So it's a full wall, it's like a closet?
Exactly.
There is some enclosure?
Yep.
All right, well, I would think that would be the main concern for people. Obviously, the breezeway is visually open, but
No, we'll be very attentive to that.
all right, I'm willing to make a motion in respect to the proposed permission request at 4871 Haddington Drive. I move that the application be granted based on the drawings submitted and the information provided by the homeowner that there will be enclosed storage for any unsightly visible things, that it be approved based on the size of the structure is compatible with adjoining properties. I am appreciative of the architecture is in keeping with a more open, natural landscape and a mid-century feel, and shall be harmonious with the neighborhood and not objectionable to any neighbors. Should the request be approved, all application for necessary permits must be made with one year, and all permits obtained prior to construction.
We also have a variance in relationship to it being in a side yard, an accessory structure in a side yard.
It's not in our stuff.
It's not a
It's connected to the home.
dimensional, it meets all dimensional.
Well, it does note that it's located in the side yard. So because it's an accessory structure, it's similar to a pergola, even though it's technically attached, we don't consider it part of the structure.
Correct.
So I apologize if it's not written in your thing, but if we could get a motion as it relates to an accessory structure in a side yard and why it's in that location.
All right, well, I will add to the motion that it is the most practical location for this. It does not, it's not contrary to any of the zoning setback, meets all zoning setbacks, and is compatible with the building.
Thank you.
And no additional screening would be required.
Support.
So I have a motion and support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you so much.
Have a good evening. Item number 7. Oh, look at you.
Hi, my name's Lou DeRosier, architect for the clients O'Neill's and this Turtle Shores property that's on Turtle Lake. And we have a unique situation where we have what I consider, if you could go maybe, well, you can see right here, the practical difficulty. They do not allow any garages to face the front of the road, and the property drops quite severely to the lake. So if you go maybe to the next shot, which I would appreciate, you can see this is the edge of the property, and this is the neighbor's exact grade. We're not allowed, and nor would we ever touch the neighbor's property. And if you could go to the plan, and I'll come back to this, please. Thank you. The next one. Now, there's another plan that's larger. That's not quite it. Oh, you have a little different presentation than I have.
Yeah, we can pull something out of the file if you'd like us to.
Well, this is what I'm looking.
I can just show that, yeah, no problem.
I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
But I will explain that he wanted to have their gone all the time in Florida during winter, I'm saying. And so they wanted to store all their pool equipment and all the outside lake toys and everything under the garage. It's a perfect storage area. So we were able to, that works well. Can I point to that? Or I
Yeah,
can point
you sure
here, I
can.
suppose.
Yeah.
Never thought of that.
Yeah. Modern technology.
You can see right here, this is a retaining wall here that we wish could be shorter, but we have to get into the storage area here. So what we did is we took a negative and turned it into a positive, where we built the stair down the side here, and we stayed away, and we have all these 6-foot pyramidal arborvitaes here. And we put the generator and the AC units here, so everything's out of the way and hidden from any neighbor anywhere, and even from the lake. So we thought that, again, is a sort of a negative positive thing. Could you put that other side view out again? Oh, I think it's a rear view, I'm sorry. So there you go. So your ordinance requires, this is like if you were standing at the lake looking, the gray area is there. It won't be gray like that. That is there to show you that that's the only variance we're asking for. We're caught in a technicality here. The driveway is up there 11 feet up, and you only allow 4-foot retaining walls that are 8 feet, that are 8 feet from the property line. And so that little gray area is what we're asking for on the variance. And we hope you'll work with us on it. This is Sean Gardello, the builder. You want to say anything?
I just want to talk about basically how confined the space is within the 16-foot setback. The building is obviously on that line. We're trying to provide access to the backyard without having to go to the other side of the building. And so with the grade change being as it would be on a walkout site as this is, there really is no other way to combine all these things in this area. And so this was a practical solution to a common problem with the site where the grade is falling 11 feet from the front of the property to the back of the property. And so the wonderful thing here is that it's not visible to anybody but the resident. So it's not visible from the neighbor's side, certainly not visible from a public view. So that's what we have.
One small thing, the building is actually 20 feet away. The overhang is 16 feet away.
So what existed on that side of the property before? Just the natural grade sloped down, so the steps and the...
Yes, you can see it if we go to that side view. There's the natural earth right there on the edge, and you can see we have gentle stairs going down to it, and then the equipment's on the other side of that stair. You'll never see it. And it's also, we have all these pyramidal abrevieties to screen off the retaining wall that's holding the back of the driveway from falling into the neighbors, so to speak. And so that they'll never know that anything's there.
Any other questions from the board? Then I'll open the public hearing. Would anyone like to speak to this item? Then I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for any discussion or a motion.
I can go ahead with the motion. I will start with the retaining walls exceeding 4 feet in height at 2713 Turtle Shores Drive. I'm going to move that variance be approved as requested. Based on the information presented, the applicant demonstrated all the standards for practical difficulty. Compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would be unduly burdensome because of the topography change that you have there on that lot. There is no injustice to the adjoining neighbors by reason of the fact that this retaining wall is not going to be seen by the neighbors, and it is hidden on that private property. The unique circumstances of the property have been demonstrated, again, given the topography drop and the need for this degree of height. This is not self-created due to the reasons stated. And as far as the ground-mounted mechanical unit not being immediately adjacent to the residential building, I'm going to move that variance also be approved as requested. Based on the information presented, the applicant demonstrated all standards for practical difficulty. Compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would be unduly burdensome because the builder and architect have found a unique way to conceal the ground-mounted mechanical unit, which ends up being a benefit to neighbors. And so there is no injustice to the adjoining neighbors by reason of the fact that these units will be shielded from view. And also their placement may also help with the sound that those units can emit. This is a unique circumstance of the property, given that, again, I've really never seen anything like it, and it's a pretty unique design, which helps the neighbors, again, as I said, as far as view and noise nuisance. This is not self-created due to the reasons that I've stated. I will just add that all permits should be made within 1 year and obtained prior to construction. And because of the location of the retaining wall, I'm not going to require evergreen screening.
Okay. I have a motion in support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion carries.
Thank you very much for working with us.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Item. Number 8, 1466 West Square Lake Road. Hi.
Yes, hi, how are you? Bruce Freshcorn, contractor for Jack Martin. We're just looking at a simple fence, black aluminum fence going along driveway and along the front sidewalk of the residence. Just in the proposed area where the line is, the red line was, and on both sides. It's more for aesthetics than it is actual keeping somebody out, 'cause it's the only area that's fenced. The dotted is township put that wood fence there. So there already is a fence to that. We would just butt into that actual wood fence. Neighbors on the opposite side, on the right-hand side, they actually have a fence all the way around the property currently. So we would butt into theirs on the other side.
So what is the reason for the fence again?
Just for aesthetics, just to look, make it look good better. That's what they want. It's not even in around the rest of the yard because they're all the way on Baton Drive. They don't have no fence either.
So it's not really needed?
Just aesthetics.
Do we have an example of the fence? Or
It's 48-inch. No, I don't believe there is one on there. It's a 48-inch.
is it aluminum fence?
Aluminum fence, black aluminum fence.
Black aluminum, okay.
So it'll butt up to the split rail that's there?
Yes. And butt up to the neighbor's fence that's there.
Yeah, what does the neighbor's fence look like?
It's black, same thing.
The same?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm not sure about that black aluminum abutting with the wooden fence.
It's just going to come to the back side. It doesn't even have to come close. See how it tapers down? Mm-hmm. It's just going to come up to that where the taper is. So it's not going to affect.
At that very corner
At
where
the right side,
three
very corner,
meet.
yes.
Okay.
Why is the split rail there?
Yeah.
There's a culvert underneath there.
Oh, it's the Square Lake fence.
Square Lake fence.
It's a township fence along Square Lake.
There you go.
Okay. A little stub like this?
That's just a portion of it.
Yeah, it's probably
Okay.
20, probably 20 foot long.
You're seeing
Okay.
just a portion.
All right.
May we see the other rendering from the front?
Sure. Oops.
Yeah, there.
Yeah.
There's a gate?
So it's going to come all the way around.
Yep, just to the neighbor's fences at the bottom there, and then it's just going to go up to the drive and cut across. He's got a drain there, so that's why it goes on an angle, and it just butts up to the existing gate.
Is that then right at the property line, I would guess, if it's behind the sidewalk?
It's behind the sidewalk, yes.
Now, is that considered a safety path there, or just a...
So,
Yes, that's
Yes.
a safety path, yes.
And we'll actually be back behind that split rail fence. That's closer to the sidewalk than it is the fence that we're putting on.
Do you have a picture of what it looks like adjoining with the neighbors?
Let me see. So that's the neighbor's fence right there. That's the pipe. That's the one angle you just showed.
So I can use a pointer so you can maybe show
Yeah.
where it would connect to give a visual aid to the.
So it's going to start there, go across, and go back to their existing gate.
Oh, I see.
So this one's further back from the
Yes.
path.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, so is the other, yeah, both sides of the driveway, or both sides of the fence would be farther back. It'd be to that fence right there.
So your fence will be set back to where that one is?
Correct.
Oh, okay, so it's
That's where this
deceiving
one
from
was.
the
Yeah,
previous...
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, well, that makes me feel better, not so close to the sidewalk. That other one, I'm not even sure it's not on township property. And
Thank
it
you
makes
for-
more sense there.
that's a
Also
better
with
picture.
this slope, if you were out there and then down the slope, all of a sudden the fence is becoming a,
Yes.
more of a
Through the
visual thing.
trees? Does
Yeah.
the fence turn and go through the trees?
See,
Yes.
it's gonna be further back, though.
So
See
the
where he
picture we
is?
have here shows it. It's like right up
back
to the
further
sidewalk.
here.
And then it goes through the trees. Could you kind of show like us where you're planning to
So
put
the
it?
fence will actually
where's
go
it
to the
gonna be
right of
Go to
that
the
pine
corner of
there.
that fence.
I'm asking him.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not.
Fence starts there, goes across, and then goes to the driveway and goes to an existing gate right there.
So it will go to the right of that pine tree right
Correct.
there? Okay.
So what we have in
So
our
it's set back
packet
pretty
shows
good.
that it's right on the sidewalk and then cuts through the trees diagonally.
Yeah, that's what it's gonna do. It's gonna come over here, cut through on an angle right here.
So it'll be to the right of the
Between
pine
the
tree,
two of
so
them.
it'll
that
set
looks
back
weird,
pretty-
honestly.
strange.
Yeah, that's...
Pretty well.
I don't know.
Both sides are gonna mimic each other.
Oh, I see what you're saying. She's asking about.
Yeah, see, it looks
The view to
different
the
where
west
this is
picture.
drawn.
What if you just did,
Those
just
two
did the
trees.
two diagonal and eliminate that along Square Lake?
I mean, homeowner wants it to come match.
I mean, I
the-
understand what they want, but I mean, aesthetically, this doesn't look right, honestly.
You do understand why it seems odd to us, because it looks like the line you're setting up looks like it's 6 inches or 1 foot from the sidewalk. That's not where the fence is actually going to be.
He's saying it's out
Fence is gonna
there.
butt to the neighbor's fence.
Okay.
Well, and also just for, the sake of symmetry, it looks, again, I mean, and this is, okay, I mean, now obviously we're debating purely aesthetics here, but the reason why we have the variance is aesthetic. So we usually don't allow the fence in the front of the property, which is what you're requesting. Now, the 2 side diagonals that you're proposing, I don't necessarily have an issue with, but I do think that it's an odd configuration to have it running across Square Lake and then, cutting through the trees. But what's adding to that is that you don't have that symmetry on the other side of it. So not only do you have this weird running along Square Lake and cutting through the trees, but then on the other side you just have the diagonal portion. So my preference, and obviously...
About running it up the driveway, what about running it from the existing gate up the driveway square and coming over to this gate square and do it exactly the same on the other side?
Yeah.
Then it matches itself, coming out and turns, yes. One to just be shorter than the other because the township fence. So if we came straight across and then across and make it match the other side. So they both look the same. One would just be longer because that part of the yard's wider.
Yeah, I would just be in favor of just having it not along Square Lake, just having the 2 side diagonal ones.
So it can't butt up to the neighbor fence and what they have.
Yeah, I don't think it should. I mean, ultimately, it has to be a majority, so
Right.
depending on what everybody else's thoughts are, but for me, I mean, at least for now, that's where I am.
I'm not hearing a practical difficulty. I'm hearing an aesthetic argument, and the aesthetics are really kind of mushy with the 2 different conditions and the trees there, and I'm not hearing a practical difficulty.
Just want to put up a simple fence that looks good and come up. We can, like I said, we can change it and come up the drive to make both sides look exactly the same. Just one will be longer.
Well, typically in the township, there is a practical difficulty for approving a fence and to install a fence.
In the front.
Especially in the front.
In the front, yeah.
In the front is what I meant. That's, I think, where at least I'm having a concern about, because in order to approve the variance, there should be some sort of need beyond aesthetics.
Okay.
We're just not big fans of fences if we can get around them.
Neighbors have one.
Right.
Township put one in. I mean, I don't know why we can't come off a gate and just make it look good.
What's your need? What's the difficulty that you're having so that we can help you out here?
Well, I just, as a homeowner wanting to have aesthetic things on their house, they would like to do that nice. And the neighbor already has one, so how is it good for them but not good,
I'm just looking for the practical difficulty.
Right.
I mean, we've seen piers here, or, you could do landscape hedges. I mean, there are other aesthetic enhancements that, frankly, in the township, we're more in favor of greenery or green things. And just not hearing a practical difficulty to just put a fence. Frankly, I think your proposal about just the short ones is even more obtrusive in a front yard for myself.
So basically, we're having trouble reaching consensus on what you're asking for.
And the trees in there, it's...
Could you go back and talk to your clients and see if there's...
I can, yes.
Okay.
See if there's something they can compromise too.
If the board wants to consider, a denial without prejudice, that would allow for the applicant to resubmit at a future date, a proposal for fencing.
Yeah, because anything they do, you would have to renotice if they changed it, so.
Correct.
Yeah, while we're discussing it, I think more to scale drawing that locates some of those trees and locates where the different fences are, would also be helpful, because right now it's really hard to evaluate. So I'm willing to make a motion. And what did you say, without prejudice?
I suggested that should the board not be able to take action on the request that's before you as presented, the board could deny the request without prejudice, which allows him to resubmit at a future date at such time as a complete presentation, as you have requested, be submitted for fencing within the front yard, as this has been noticed.
I did not.
As opposed to being flat out.
Right.
Back when the application.
Okay.
Okay.
I never did a public hearing, so let me do that, just in case someone's here who would like to speak to this item. Is there anyone here that would like to speak? Okay, then I'll close the public hearing, and then we can come back to the board.
All right, I'd like to make a motion, to deny the dimensional variance at, without prejudice, so the applicant can come back. Deny the dimensional variance at 1466 West Square Lake. I move that it be denied because based on the information presented, the applicant did not demonstrate all the standards for practical difficulty. We're not seeing the practical difficulty in the fence proposed so close to the public street. Compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would not be unduly burdensome because our ordinances do require review of any fences, especially in front yards, and unique circumstances in the property have not been given.
Support.
So I have motion and support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion denied without prejudice.
Thank you.
All right, have a good evening. All right, item number 9, 3530 Lasha Road. Hello again.
Hi again. My name is Sabrina with Mosier Design, and I'm here on behalf of the client at 3530 Lasser Road. We are here today asking for a dimensional variance to locate a generator next to the current garage, which is considered an accessory structure by definition. Per the ordinance, the garage is not considered part of the primary structure due to the connecting breezeway having no solid walls. Our request is to locate the generator on the north side of this garage, which is the best location that has no impact on neighboring homes. The garage is more than 50 feet from the north property line and is adjacent to the school, so no neighbors will be disturbed. There are existing evergreens along the north property line, and an evergreen hedge will be added directly around the generator. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board? Then I'll open the public hearing. Anyone like to speak to this matter? I'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the board.
Okay, I'd be willing to make a motion.
Please.
Okay, so in regard to the appeal at 3530 Lasser Road for a dimensional variance, I move the variance be approved as requested. Based on the information presented, the applicant did demonstrate all of the standards for practical difficulty, given compliance with the fact that the strict letter of the ordinance would be unduly burdensome because of the layout of the property. There is no injustice to the adjoining neighbors by reason of the location of this mechanical unit would actually be to their benefit. Unique circumstances with the property have been demonstrated given the layout of the property, and this is not self-corrected once again due to the layout. If approved, the motion must include application for all necessary permits must be made within 1 year for the generator, and all permits must be obtained prior to construction. Additional evergreen plantings may be required to assure that the generator is screened from public view and must meet or exceed the height of the generator at the time of planting.
Support.
So I have motion and support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
You too. Next up, item number 10, 1457 Club Drive.
Good evening, Madam Chair and everyone. My name is Patrick Funke. I'm with Michael Dool and Associates. We're the landscape architects for Alex and Diane Began at 1457 Club Drive. We were the original landscape architects for the property in 2016. And over the last 8 to 10 years, we are on Forest Lake, my clients are, and the land is continually eroding along the lake shore. As we're all aware, Forest Lake's a very natural lake. We want to maintain that. So we're requesting consideration for a bioengineering solution that is favored by Eagle. We have obtained our Eagle permits for this project. We plan to install core fiber logs along the entire 150 lineal feet of shoreline, along with riprap, which will help dissipate any wave action. We get a lot of winds on our side of the lake here, and create habitat for aquatic species as well. So we have come before you today for a natural bioengineering solution and an environmental feature setback that I believe is sustainable, and it keeps with the character of the neighborhood, the lake, and the property.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
So as I'm looking at it, will you have to clean out anything that shows right now, the lily pads, et cetera?
No, the lily pads will stay. You can see along the shoreline there, we have a lot of muskrats that are really decimating the shoreline there. So our intent is we will work right against that existing shoreline. We cannot capture any more additional land.
Okay, that's what I was curious about.
No, we'll have to follow the existing shoreline per Eagle.
All right.
Any other questions? Then I'll open the public hearing. Anyone like to speak to this matter? Then I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for discussion or a motion.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion. Do you want to go?
No, you can go ahead.
I'll make a motion for a dimensional variance at 1457 Club Drive for the variance. I move the variance be approved as requested. Based on the information presented, the applicant did demonstrate all standards for practical difficulty because compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would be unduly burdensome due to the presence of wetlands and, the natural shoreline. There is no injustice to adjoining neighbors by reason that this is going to be an improvement and consistent with other homes in the area. Unique circumstances with the property have been demonstrated, given that it is lake frontage, and as a result, for these reasons, it is not self-created. So if approved, the motion must include application for all necessary permits, must be made within 1 year for the proposed, coir logs, and all permits must be obtained prior to construction.
I support, and I'll just add, I really commend you and the homeowner for choosing this native option and instead of a seawall, which we tend to see a lot of in Bloomfield Township. So hopefully you can be an example for neighbors along that lake and other lakes in Bloomfield Township to go along with similar solutions.
Thank you. I am actually a certified natural shoreline professional in the state of Michigan as well. So I've done a lot of these, and they're very successful.
Great. Happy to have you in Bloomfield Township. Thank you.
I knew you were going to get that. I was waiting. I was looking at Stephanie.
You're done good.
Yes, when you get that approval from her, that really means you did something. But I have a motion in support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion
Thank you. Have a
carries.
wonderful evening.
Thank you. Have a good evening. All right, next item, number 11, 5263 Kingsgate Way. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
My name is Dr. Andrew Schultz. This is my wife, Sarah. We're here today in regards to this fence that we constructed. We've been in our home for about 3 years, and we have 4 children who frequently play in this driveway where the basketball hoop is, and they lose a lot of basketballs and other things and are running into the woods there. As you can see, this kind of this easement area between ourselves and the neighboring condominium association. So we've been seeking a solution to kind of help prevent them from running into that area, which you can see is in the direction of Telegraph Road, certainly visible, and you can hear it from our property as well. And we've tried some other solutions. We tried a net that attached to the basketball hoop, and that worked for a period of time until there was a big windstorm and it all got wrapped up and damaged. And then we were back to the same problem that we had. We recognize that we made some missteps here, just in the sense that we were interested in pursuing a fence. We talked to a family member who knew someone who could help us out, and very few questions were asked, and the next thing we know, here we are joining you guys this evening. So yeah, I don't know, do you have any comments you'd like to
I mean, the other issue is our house is at the dead end, and on the other side of the wooden fence is condos that we have neighbors, people that we don't even know, cross over through that wooded area onto our property. And there have been a couple times that they've approached. Like, he was in the backyard with our older kids, and we had our 3-year-old on the driveway, and he looked over, and this lady with her dog is speaking to our 3-year-old kid. I mean, we have 4 kids, 8, 7, 3, and 1. So that was a problem, that these people from those condos cross over into our property to avoid telegraph. Also, the neighbor directly across from us, they have apartments to the east of them, and there's a brick wall dividing her house from that property where we have nothing.
Yeah, and then just to add, another concern that we have is we have a lot of deer in our area, you know, a lot of ticks and issues like that. So just keeping our kids out of this area as much as we can is something that we were focused on.
So you noted in the packet that the fence, as it's built now, can only be seen by 2 neighbors. Is that right?
So we are at a dead end, and it curves.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know the
Yeah.
exact number per se. I mean, certainly if you stand in front of our house, you can see it. It's in our side yard there on the eastern edge of our property. But we feel that it's pretty limited from view given the location on the east side of our property, which is at the very end of the dead end street. And it's, you know,
I certainly think it's a reasonable request, and it sounds like you definitely have a need for having the fence there. The only consideration, and I'll leave it open to the board, is sometimes with privacy fences like this, we require that they be screened with evergreens. I don't necessarily have a strong opinion on this particular request, so I'll just leave that to the board.
that's something that was brought up in some emails that we were kind of communicating back and forward with. And it's something that we're definitely open to. You know, we want to play nice and make everybody happy, make our neighbors happy, and then keep our children safe.
It does not look like you have a lot of room between that fence and the driveway, but something you could consider is planting some kind of ivy or something that creeps, you know, would creep up and provide some greenery on the fence.
We'd be open to that.
You know what species better than me,
Oh,
but what
gosh,
you could
no, I don't know
possibly.
plants. I
But,
only
you know,
do bricks and mortar.
the hydrangea that climb up or something like that, you know.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask how close this is to the property line. The site plan isn't technical speaking.
I did take
A lot of times we require screening on on the outside to the neighbors. I don't know if there's room, and I don't know if it's required in a condo. Does it roughly
Really aren't any
stop
neighbors
even
because
with
there's
the
the
front of the
wooded
house?
area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So it doesn't come down to
Right.
the street.
Yeah.
I was wondering more about staining it a natural color. I think
You know what, that was a thought of ours,
it's
too, a darker.
the raw wood is probably the most, somewhere between a
Makes it
stain
brighter.
and some ivy.
Especially since it is visible from the road, something that's not so stark.
Sure, we could absolutely do that.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, I'll open the public hearing. Would anyone like to speak to this? Good evening. Good evening. Please just state your name and address, please.
Doug Carey, 53401 Forest Way.
Kathleen McKee, 5246 Kings Gateway.
The fence is 6 feet, and the township calls for 4 feet. That's the one thing. We don't allow fences, but they have been approved. We would expect a natural boundary. That's it.
What?
I didn't hear you.
They didn't come to us. You guys had the bylaws, right?
Same
And then they also didn't get an approval from you guys. I've had neighbors call me, there's more than 2 people that see it.
Please direct your comments
I'm
towards the
sorry,
board.
there's more than, quite a few people have asked me about it. I can say that the brick wall on the other side near Christine Lawson's property was erected by the condo people in that complex. Had nothing to do with our neighborhood. And we would at the very least want it to be screened.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to speak to this matter? Okay, then I'll close the public hearing, and you're welcome to come back up and respond.
We certainly respect, our comments from our neighbors there. We did bring with us some letters just of support from some of our other neighbors.
Take them, add them to our record.
The ones directly across the street next to us.
Yeah, Dr. Lawson, who's across from us, Mr. Jones, who's at 5245. Here's some of those letters. In regards to Dr. Lawson's approval, I have that in form of a text message. I don't have that written letter.
As far as the height, I mean,
Yeah, we recognize that that is over the accepted limit, and in hindsight, when constructing it, if again, I hate to claim just naivety here, but if someone had said, hey, you can only do 4 feet, we would have said, okay. But it stands at 6 feet.
These are on a different street.
If it's not in the front of the house, I thought 6 feet is
4 feet.
4 feet anywhere. These are on Midmore.
They're just part of the neighborhood
Okay.
association.
All right. Okay.
They're not adjacent neighbors.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there are
one
a
of them
couple
is
adjacent.
one is adjacent, and then I have just a text from my neighbor across the street.
So, Ms. Chairwoman, the people who spoke, can we see where they live on the map?
Yes.
Can you point out where you live on that?
We just need the addresses.
5246 across the street.
Okay.
Okay.
This
And
side.
What about both of you?
He's on another.
Okay. All right.
Oh. You didn't tell us you're. Okay. Oh, you're both on the board?
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if it were properly screened, our screening requirements are to the height of the accessory structure as installed would be 6-foot arborvitae. I don't know if you can get a survey and find out what property you have on that side.
I'm not sure if he has enough room for.
He doesn't.
Enough room.
And the basketball hoops there.
Well, is it 4 feet, 5 feet?
Are you talking about on the inside?
Or the outside?
The outside, I guess, to me is irrelevant because it butts up to a wooded area and then butts up to condos.
Condominiums. So that's why I wondered
It's on
if
the
they were-
visible
It's on the visible side, but I don't think there's enough
not enough.
land
There's 4
area.
I don't know anything about plants, but there's 4 feet in between there.
Between the driveway and your fence?
Driveway and the
Yeah.
fence.
So that's room.
Oh, if it's 4 feet, that would. I mean, I'm not an expert, but it seems like enough.
It doesn't look like 4 feet on our drawings here.
Yeah, it doesn't. It
Between the
looks-
driveway and
Oh,
your
what you
fence.
did?
Yeah,
I
it should.
think it was 4 feet.
That's what we
Yeah,
discussed.
it looks like all of 3.
Okay.
I don't know. But
And, I guess I'm more concerned maybe about just the end of the fence
That's
versus
picking
running
up
all
from
the way
here.
up the property, just maybe that section at the end that you see. Soften it a little bit.
Ivy?
Yes.
Maybe some ivy. Dark paint.
definitely. My original plan was to stain it and make it look really nice. So if that's what you guys were discussing,
I
like a
mean,
darker
certainly if it's
stain.
stained, it's going to blend in more with the forested area
Be-
behind.
Clearly, we're trying to give you suggestions on what you can do to screen it.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I think screening is probably the best option. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean-
Aside from shrinking it.
Or even, doing a combination, like staining it and then even putting an ivy and then maybe just like even one tree
yeah.
at the corner to sort of
That's
shield
what I was
it.
Right,
thinking.
something
One or
like
two
that, yeah.
at the leading edge.
That's what I think.
Edge.
Anything,
Evergreen.
probably anything you can do to obscure the visibility from the road is probably the main
Okay.
issue I think I'm hearing.
Okay, I can go ahead and make a motion.
Please do.
Okay, so with regard to the appeal at 5263 Kings Gate Way for the 6-foot high fence, the dimensional variance required, I'm going to move that be approved as requested. Based on the information presented, the applicant demonstrated all standards for practical difficulty because compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would be unduly burdensome because of the home's location in the township and the young children that they have and the need for safety and security from the condominiums that abut their lot. There is no injustice to the adjoining neighbor by reason of the fact that we are going to require some shielding of the fence. The unique circumstances of the property have been demonstrated, again, given its location in the township and abutting to that condominium neighborhood. This is not self-created due to the reasons stated. Because it's already an existing fence, you'll have to get the permits within 5 days. And I'm going to add that you should make every effort to conceal the fence with a combination of things that we've discussed, staining it, using ivy, and planting 1 or 2 evergreen trees closer to the road to help shield the fence from neighborhood view.
Support. Okay, so I have motion and support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Have a good evening. Okay, item number 12, 3721 Shallow Brook Drive. Is the applicant here? Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sam Yaldo. I'm the builder of the property for my younger brother, Al Yaldo, sitting back there. With me is Brian Devlin, our landscape architect, and we're here to answer any question you may have about the variance request that we have in front of you today. We have extensively explained the practical difficulty that we have in that property and the necessity to relocate those equipment closer to the pool. So if anybody has any concerns or questions, we're ready to answer. We have, I should add that we have the approval of our neighbors to the north and south, and we have 3 neighbors to the east with a minimum distance between the equipment and the farthest, the rear yard of the closest home is 149 feet. One of the members, one of the neighbors to the east is the association president, and I'm sure he's going to be speaking about some conditions that they have set for their support to this request, and hopefully we can be granted this request so we can build the pool properly.
Any questions from the board? Then I'll open the public hearing. Please come up, state your name and address, please.
Side Drive. My property abuts next to subject property across the creek. And I'm also speaking on behalf of the president. He's at the Cleveland Clinic, unfortunately, with his wife. So I'm 3700 right there to the east. And I have a question for the board. Are you able to approve a variance with certain conditions, or is it just yes or no?
Well, it depends, yeah.
You have to give us the specifics.
Okay, because the association and the president, more specifically, John O'Brien, wrote a letter in support of the variance with several conditions. And there are 5 conditions. One is obviously the ordinance of the easements, making sure that it meets the easements, but more specifically for the pole equipment, we would like the sound shield accessory applied to the pole equipment to reduce the sound, because it is at the edge of the easement towards the east of the 2 properties, 3700, my property, and the other property just to the north of me. And also, we would our vantage point is much higher than theirs, so we would be looking down at the pool equipment. So at the time of planning, we would like to ensure that the arborvitae or whatever masking planning that they use is tall enough so that it masks the pool equipment and not like 5 years after it starts growing. And also typically what happens when you plant arborvitae is you leave enough room in between the arborvitaes for it to grow, for future growth. And we have another neighbor that is constructing, and in order to avoid and improve masking, they double staggered theirs, and that's in the association condition as well. And thirdly, sorry, Madam Chair. Thirdly, the property owners unfortunately denuded the property of the trees in excess of the variance that they had. So last time I spoke to Alex Kozlowski, who's the engineer at the township, he has not received their tree restoration plan. And we would like to see that, to see how that affects the variance as well. Those are the three major conditions.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak? Please, state your name and address, please.
My name's Robert Trzynski, and we're residents at 3690 Brookside. As Hal so eloquently explained, our vantage point just comes down. I guess really I'm just kind of reaffirming what he stated, and my concern is my office actually has two windows in it, one facing west, right? So I'm looking in their backyard, and then one facing Hal's house at 3700. So the window that I'm looking out of, I have, if you can imagine, monitor, laptop. And I look immediately at the proposed piece of land for the pool equipment. So, you know, the height of the trees, and I have no problem with the location, none. I would just not like to see the pool equipment. That's all. I just wanted to state that for the record, so.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Okay, then I'll close the public hearing, and applicant, you can come up and respond to any comments.
When you look at the way we set up the pool equipment, all our neighbors are going to see are 3 feet, only 3 feet, because the depth is 15 foot and it goes east-west. So anybody looking from the east towards us, they're going to be looking only at a frontage of 3 foot. That's the width of the pad that's going to contain the equipment, and it's 15 foot long, leading towards the pool itself. And of course, we're more than happy to screen whatever this board requires us to do, and that's the reason I brought my landscape architect with me, so he can understand exactly what's required for us to get this variance approved.
Okay, and I know there was a comment about the noise or the sound.
To be honest with you, I did some research on the noise. The noise on this equipment is not more than the noise that the air conditioning unit generates when it's on during the summertime. Believe me. And I have supporting documents to prove
Yeah, and I
that.
guess that's the reason why we have them located adjacent to the house. Okay, because the closer you get to a property line, the more your neighbors can hear it.
But the neighbor,
Just understand that's why.
The closest neighbor is 149 feet. The back of their home is 149 feet from the equipment.
Yes.
And we demonstrated that in our engineering plans, just to make sure that everybody understands
So there
where
wasn't,
we're putting those.
there wasn't any location between the pool and the house where you could locate it.
No, because this is the first time in my life as a developer, I see a sanitary sewer easement that's 35 foot. No sanitary easement that I have seen all my life is more than 20 feet. In our case, it's 35 foot. And there is a reason, of course, because the river runs through it.
Where is the sewer easement?
I have a pointer.
I'm not seeing that.
Yeah, where's that?
I'm not hearing a hard.
Why couldn't we
Lots of cams got a lot of work tonight.
Should we move someplace
All right.
else?
Fine.
This is the sewer easement at the edge of the house to the edge of the pool.
Okay, but that's
Where is it?
It's right along in a diagonal
right.
from the what is that? The
But-
north.
Yeah, I see it, but isn't there area between the pool and your house?
Or on the opposite
Well, it's
side?
going to be right in our face when we exit from the walkout basement, and all the activity of the homeowner will be there. And there is over 149 feet between us and the neighbor, between the pool equipment and the first neighbor, the closest neighbor. And it's only 3 foot facing the neighbor, only 3 feet.
Can it be put into some sort of structure to, hide it?
I'm sorry,
Can it be put into some sort of structure to hide it?
in a structure? You mean enclosed?
I'm making a suggestion as to what some other people have done in the past to screen their pool equipment.
They need to have air circulation.
Yeah, I know.
So enclosing them in a building, in a small shed, so to speak, is not practical.
There's also a significant number of trees on the adjacent properties, but also a significant number still on our own property. So there's a significant woodland between the rear of the houses to the east and the pool equipment itself.
Can you talk about the landscape plan that's going to be surrounding the pool and in context also this mechanical equipment?
I think I have the landscape plan here.
Yeah.
Here's the
Can I
landscape.
also ask, is it just pool equipment or pool equipment and a condenser?
No, just pool equipment.
Just pool
Just
equipment?
pool equipment. There's going to be water and electrical lines coming off the floor, of the ground, in the concrete, and they are connected to them.
Sorry, okay, you had.
Well, is it possible to add additional landscaping to deal with the view that we heard the other resident comment on and potentially also help with sound?
Well, there's already, actually already planted a row of arborvitae along the property lines.
How tall are they?
I think they're at about 6 feet
Oh, I see them here.
height.
Well, if you look at the association comments, they drew out a proposed landscaping, around this unit.
We can, yeah, so that's the north property line where those arborvitaes are.
Ah, look at that. You can put it there so we can all see.
I don't know whose phone this is.
Mine.
Thank you.
This is what we planted already. This is all new planting. That's just the introduction to planting, so to speak. Of course, we couldn't
the
do anything in the
side?
backyard until
Yeah,
the
that's
pool is
along
in
the
place.
side.
Okay.
You'll see a lot more landscaping, a lot more.
It looked like there was a landscape plan to put some screening around
Yes.
the actual pad. I mean, didn't I
Yeah.
see something like that?
Of course, it's here.
Is that in your plans?
Yeah, it's here.
Yeah, they showed a single row. The
Right.
homeowners association is
And we've agreed to a double staggered row.
double staggered
I got
row.
there, I'm sorry.
There it is.
Yeah, so that's, I think, one condition we'd want to impose if we were to allow this.
We don't have a problem with the double row.
So there is a landscape plan to,
Then we'll stagger, so they only see green.
okay, so you're willing to make those kind of adjustments to,
And as you can see, it's narrow and long. When they're looking at it, they're going to see only the 3 feet, if they ever see it. And they will not see it because of the landscaping, and if we stagger, they don't see anything.
Okay, and then can you just touch on, because maybe I'm gonna be ready to make a motion in a second, but I just want to make sure that I have a good handle on, we cannot have it located closer to the home because of where the electrical of the home is set up.
Yeah, not only electrical, we have a generator, we have the air conditioning units, we have the gas meters, electric meters, and with the easement that runs along the house, there's no room to even move.
Okay.
Is there a picture of that? Is there a picture of the back of the house?
It's in a diagonal, and it widens as you go farther to the west.
Well, I was going to ask also for floor plans, what windows and doors come out in that location here. I'm not hearing a hardship of why this can't be closer to the house. I'm just not sure. I think
put them
out
close-
in the middle of the yard surrounded by screening is...
If we put them close to the house, you're going to be walking out and just facing them, because it's all glass in the lower level walkout.
But you would screen them all. So you'd walk
Yeah, but
out and you'd
they're-
see screening.
But they're in our way. They're in the way of the whole family activity.
Well,
And
can you point to
we
where
have a
your
massive
other-
forest in the back that's not even being used for anything except for landscaping.
Where are your existing, where are the air conditioners, generator?
They're
that?
going to go on the left side
Where-
of the house.
Can you point to it with the pointer?
Do you have the pointer? Oh, you're just gotta hold the button down. Just hold the button down at the top. This button. Right. Yep.
They're going to go
I know it's hard to do it.
right here, right along this side. And the easement goes in a diagonal from the pool to the house, and it widens as you go closer to the street. Plus, the equipment has to be not more than 30 feet away from the pool. Closer to the house, it just defeats the purpose.
It's heating equipment.
And what's the approximate size of the equipment together?
I'm sorry?
What's the approximate size of your equipment?
The highest piece is 3 feet high.
Okay, by what?
By, there could be probably, maybe 3 pieces with it.
41 inches.
So the size is what?
Okay, 41 inches on the filter, 26 and a half inches on the heater. So
We're
there's
talking
2
about something
pieces
that's
only.
the size of this,
That's from our pool guy.
I think you could probably fit something that small next to your equipment. It's only 4 feet, 41 inches
No,
by
he needs.
20 some odd inches?
No, he needs 3 foot by 15 feet.
Okay, so
For the pad.
what's the
For the
size
pad.
that you need for the pad? Give me the
3
entire...
foot by 15 foot. That's what
3
we
by
are
15.
asking.
That's what's represented by the rectangle.
Okay, that's what I was, yeah.
And it's only 3
But
foot
what-
facing the neighbors.
Why does it have to be 15 feet? The dimensions he just read are nowhere near that.
I think they need a space between the heater and the, for circulating. I really am not a technical guy about the pool, and it's an advanced pieces of equipment that need to be closer to the pool.
We can also plant some, say, eastern hemlocks, evergreens, which get a little taller. They can tolerate shade. There's going to be some shade back there. So we can show some actual evergreen trees near that location as well.
Okay.
So we can provide a double row of the plants around the equipment itself, but then just off, we can also show some, say, 3 or 4 eastern hemlocks at 6 or 7 foot height. That would surely help in that regard. to screen that equipment.
Yes, and I very much appreciate that suggestion, and I'll include that in my motion. So unless anybody else here on the board has anything to add, I can go ahead with the request at 3721 Shallow Brook Drive for the ground mechanical unit pool equipment not immediately adjacent to the residential building. I'm going to move that that variance be approved as requested. Based on the information presented, the applicant demonstrated all the standards for practical difficulty because compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would be unduly burdensome because of the generator that the home is going to have, in addition to the usual air conditioning units. Adding the pool equipment closer to the home will impede the use of the backyard and the walkout basement that they're going to have there at that house. There is no injustice to the adjoining neighbor by reason of the fact, and I actually will also add for the compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance, the easement that they have running in the backyard as well, that adds an additional hardship. And for the, with regard to the neighbors, I am going to require that there is additional screening around the mechanical unit, and I'm going to, by extension, if we can just include the comments from the landscape architect with regard to those shade-tolerant plants that he suggested would be fitting for that too. And I'll note that they'll have to be, the height of those plantings will have to meet or exceed the height of the units, the mechanical units that are there. So the unique circumstances of the property have been demonstrated, again, given the easement that they have there in the backyard, in addition to the other mechanical equipment that typical homes require. This is not self-created due to the reasons stated. I will add that you should get all your permits within 1 year, and they should be obtained prior to construction. And as I noted before, you will be required to shield this equipment from public view, and please incorporate those additional plantings as presented here tonight.
So I have a motion. Do I have support?
Oh.
Support?
Opposed?
I'm opposed.
Me too.
Do you want to do a roll call?
Roll call. Fakih?
Yes.
O'Donnell?
No.
Meads?
No.
Ford?
Yes.
Giagrande?
Yes.
Rosati?
No.
I think motion fails.
I would move to table this to the next meeting.
Support.
Can the board provide a little direction for the applicant?
Yeah.
I think it's much easier to screen equipment when it is closer to the house. To just surround this thing with evergreens, to me, is a problem. Perhaps when they come back, they could show us what the walkout, where the doors and windows are, so that we have a better sense of whether it's a hardship in the location that they're
Yeah,
mentioning.
and I guess I'm not convinced that it can't be located between the pool and the house
Yeah.
somewhere, even if it's not directly adjacent. Maybe it's closer to the pool, but it's
Less
on that
variance,
side
yes.
versus the other.
I think because of the, how the board made the motion, where it was actually a tie, 3-3, I would recommend that you actually have a follow-up motion to actually take action so that you have at least a minimum of 4 vote of either to approve or deny.
But it just failed, well,
I'm recommending that you make a motion that, should you want to deny, that we have at least a vote, an action of denial.
And if it goes 3-3 again?
I thought that was done.
No, we need to make it confirm.
It's one or the other. Okay, I'll make a motion.
Change my vote.
I'll make a motion to deny the dimensional variance request at 3721 Shallow Brook Drive for the pool equipment location not being immediately adjacent to the house. Based on the information presented, the applicant did not demonstrate all the standards for practical difficulty because compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would not be unduly burdensome unless we have more information about why it can't be closer to the house, more specifics on
Adjoining neighbors.
the location. There is injustice potentially to the adjoining neighbors without further information to that effect, and it could be self-created.
Support.
So I have motion and support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm opposed.
Roll call?
Yes.
Faki?
No.
O'Donnell?
Yes.
Meads?
Yes.
Ford?
Yes.
Giagrande?
No.
Rosati?
Yes.
Okay, so that motion carries 4-2.
I don't know how that happened, but.
Okay.
Go ahead, Madam Chair.
All right. Item number 13, 5521 Coachmaker Drive. Good evening.
My name is Sang-Jun Park. I'm living in 4521 Coachmaker. I moved in Bloomfield 2019 summer. I was not expecting Michigan summer gets much longer, which is so unfortunate because we have concrete patio, which is already existing. It's heating up really hot, but eventually I'm spending more time outdoor. My daughter is in college, so it's me and my wife just like to go out and enjoy. And my adjacent neighbor, Brian and Beth, they came to my house and stay in the garden together. So we look at the different options like umbrellas and parasol, and we decide to go metal frame gazebo. And it's literally fitting right into the size of patio. And it creates a good amount of shadow. The house behind my house, we had a kind of shallow tree bushing. It's completely blocked their vision to my gazebo. And my adjacent neighbor, the Beth and Brian, we really like to interact together, and they like my plan. I believe they sent email, letter in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, we did receive those.
Yep.
Any questions from the board? Then I'll open the public hearing. Would anyone like to speak to this matter? And I'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the board for discussion or a motion.
With respect to the property located at 4521 Coachmaker Drive, I would move to grant the permission request for the proposed gazebo. Because the applicant has demonstrated compliance with, what's my number again? 42-7.6 standards. I camped out for a minute. The size, use, and location of the accessory structure is typical and compatible with the neighborhood and harmonious with the neighborhood, and it will not be objectionable to any nearby residents. Application for all necessary permits must be made within 1 year. All permits must be obtained prior to construction. And I'm not, because of the way this is located and the type that it is, I'm not going to require any additional evergreen screening.
Support.
So I have motion and support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion is granted.
Yep. Thank you very much. This is my first public hearing. I was a little bit scared.
You did very good.
You did very well, yes.
Now you can enjoy your patio.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's your time today. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a good night. All right, next up.
14, postponed.
Number 14 is postponed, just so that we can remind that. So we're on number 15, 1288 West Long Lake.
Good evening, Board. My name is Ryan Youngblood. I'm with our Youngblood & Company. Our address is 512 Madison Avenue, Rochester. This evening, we have in front of you a project that we're working on located at 1288 West Long Lake Road, and we are asking for the approval or permission for the replacement, the upgrade of the entrance gate. As you can see from the photos, that right there is showing what we're proposing. It'll all be hand-forged iron and bronze. The property right now does have an existing iron gate. As you can see, that's been there for many years. Our plan is to, the opening stays the same. The height is actually designed to match the height of the existing gate right now, and we would attach to the existing columns that are there at the same time.
That looks nice.
Thank you. Any questions? I'm here for the answer.
Any questions? Okay. Then I'll open the public hearing. Would anyone like to speak to this matter? I'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the board for discussion or a motion.
I can go ahead with the motion for 1288 West Long Lake Road. I'm going to start with the permission request for the gate. I'm going to move that that be approved as presented. Based on the information presented, the applicant demonstrated compliance with section 42-7.6 standards because the accessory structure gate is appropriate to the neighborhood and very common along these properties on Long Lake. So with regard to the dimensional variance for the gate located in the front yard, I'm going to move that that also be approved as requested. The applicant demonstrated all the standards for practical difficulty because compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would be unduly burdensome because of the need for privacy and security along Long Lake. There is no injustice to the adjoining neighbors by reason of the fact that this is a replacement of an already existing gate that's been at that property. The unique circumstances with the property have been demonstrated, again, given its location along Long Lake and a need for security and privacy. This is not self-created due to the reasons stated above. You will need to get the permits within 1 year and get them prior to construction. And as far as evergreen screening, I'm not going to require any additional screening than what you already have there. And the last thing that I'll add here is that you will have to file a hold harmless with the township for the driveway gate.
Support.
Okay, so I have a motion and support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
One question I have for you guys, and thank you very much for this evening. As you guys were probably well aware that this is a massive project in the township and it's in the early stage of construction. Because of the gate construction that we're proposing, it's all hand forged, very time consuming to build and very expensive. So before we launched that into production, I want to make sure you guys had you guys' approval. But I know for a fact right now that it will not be being installed within 1 year from today. Is there a way we can put a stipulation on that
You have to
time
apply
frame?
for a permit within a year.
Right.
And then the permit's good for.
Or how long?
Actually, it can be continued as long as you keep the building official informed
Correct.
of
Okay.
the timeliness of the delivery and installation.
Correct.
Okay.
So we can work with you as long as there's forward progress occurring
Okay,
on
sounds
the
good.
site. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate all you guys' time. Have a good evening.
All right. Item number 16. Hey. Is that you? Yes, 6824 Halyard Road.
D. Rotundo.
Hi.
Right,
Nice
no,
to
I'm not
see
D.
you. Good to see you.
Good evening, everybody, how are you?
Good.
Unfortunately, we got a phone call at the house. The Dino and Karen, who own the property here, they had to rush their dog up to the Oakland Animal Hospital up there. And Sally said something to the fact that we'll take care of this and help you, so we're here taking care of it. This is, as you see there, this is a pool variance. Their hardship is they've got 2 front yards there. If you look at the property there, it's pretty secluded on both sides there. In fact, they had called me when they were going to do it, and I had gone out there then and said, that's a good spot, but except for the location of both roads there. So with that, I'll answer any questions that I possibly can. I've got a text from her authorizing me to speak, and I can get something tomorrow to you more formal if you need that.
So, Leo, is there any way it could have been shoved more in the rear yard? It looks like there's a lot of trees back there that might...
You've got the one large tree back behind the rear yellow line.
Right.
And that was the one thing that I said that may be an objection, is they may want to see it back to at least equal to the house itself.
Yeah, I wondered if it could go back a little bit.
And I don't think that that's a problem. In fact, once my comments were made, it's like anything else, they were disregarded. So when I looked at that, when I had to look it up there, and I said, And so that's kind of where it is. And I had said to Karen that the only major issue that I see is they may want to see it at least go back to the house level.
I mean, that's what I would like, but that's just me personally. I
agree.
don't know what the rest of the board thinks, but
Fine with that.
Any other questions from the board? Then I'll open the public hearing. Anyone like to speak to this matter? I'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the board for a discussion or a motion.
All right, I'll make a motion. In regards to the appeal at 6824 Halyard Road, it's just
Dimensional.
permission request. No,
Dimensional.
dimensional variance. For 6824 Halyard Road, I move the variance be approved as requested with the one addition of moving the fence to line up with the back of the house.
Can I stop you right there? Because I don't think it was the fence per se.
It's the pool. It was the
It's
pool.
It's the pool.
right. To move the pool to line up more with the back of the house.
Sorry.
That was my thought, anyway.
Be approved as requested with the change of moving the pool to align more with the back of the house, and the 4-foot fence be approved along with the drawings provided. Based on the information, the applicant did demonstrate all standards for practical difficulty. Compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would be unduly burdensome due to the double frontages of the lot, the unique circumstances, and the many mature trees that this is trying to accommodate. There's no injustice to the adjoining neighbors by reason of the amount of existing screening, and the unique circumstances of the property have been demonstrated. Should this motion be approved, all necessary permits must be made within 1 year, and all permits received before starting construction.
Thank you. And just for clarification, I'm assuming you, by pool, you mean the pool deck.
Yeah, the
Okay,
finishing of the deck.
yeah, that's what I thought.
Thank you.
Okay.
He's writing my motion.
Doing it well.
Due to all those reasons, also, it is not self-created.
Support.
Thank you.
Okay. I have a motion and support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you very much. Great to see you all.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Stephanie, congratulations. Good luck to you in the future, all right?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Here. All right. Item number 17, 2527 Telegraph. Hello.
Good evening.
Don't be shy.
Step right up.
Here we are.
There we are. He was just waiting for his number to come up. I hear.
My name is Richie Atto, and I'd like to make an appeal that we make all the commercial variances first from now on.
I know your eyes at the end of the meeting, right?
So I'm here with, as the property owner, and also with me is Dr. Nick Crawford. He's the new tenant, and he's welcomed everybody to come and visit and get a free tour of the Bloom Spa, medical spa. I'm going to make an appointment for a facial, but I don't know if it's going to do any good. So we have an existing monument sign there that's been approved at the Zoning Board of Appeals many, many years ago. And every time a tenant moves in that wants to have a space on the sign, it requires a variance because you're technically only allowed one sign either on the building or on the monument sign. But due to some unusual conditions, the angle of the property, the fact that we have a Telegraph Road address but no Telegraph Road entrance, it's a little confusing for some people. So the monument sign has been helpful for all the existing tenants and hopefully the future tenants as well, which we're still working on seeking 2 more tenants. So we'd like to ask for approval for Dr. Crawford to have his wall sign, which is not yet installed. It's under construction, although he did open about 2 weeks ago, and now have one of the slots on the existing monument sign that's been approved, to have the sign, and then the existing tenants that are on there, it's all been before this board, and this will be the 4th approval, and hopefully we'll come back for 2 more soon.
Are there any questions from the board? Now open the public hearing. Do you want to? Okay, I'll close the public hearing. I'll bring it back to the board for any discussion or a motion.
in regard to the property located at 2527 South Telegraph Road. I would move to grant the request for the dimensional variance for the secondary signage for Bloom Health because the applicant has demonstrated all the elements for practical difficulty. Compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would be burdensome. This is a very unique piece of property, the way that it's located on Telegraph and Square Lake Road, very, very busy roads, and with only having the one entrance. They're high-speed roads, people go by quickly, and it's difficult to see who's actually in that center at times. There is no injustice to the adjoining neighbors because this is uniquely situated in comparison to the adjoining properties, and those are the unique circumstances that are attributable to property. It's not self-created. Application for all necessary permits must be made within 1 year, and all permits must be obtained prior to installation.
Support.
So I have motion and support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much, and I hope to see you soon to get 1 or 2 more approved.
That would be good.
Yeah, welcome.
Absolutely.
I hope.
That'd be great.
We'll be all coming for our facials soon.
Yeah.
Last
right.
but not least.
Last but
Yeah,
not
you hung
least.
in there. We'll have to start serving snacks or something.
Right. We are talking about 4190 Telegraph, your gracious, great neighbor to the north. We are and have signed and will be submitting for permit soon, construction on a first floor medical office space operated by University of Michigan Victor's Care, which is concierge medicine. It's their second location. The first location's in Ann Arbor, so they are new to Bloomfield Hills, or Bloomfield Township. Telegraph Road, as everybody knows, is a super busy road, much busier than it was probably when the ordinance was designed or when the building was built. We do have a monument sign, but the names and letters are so small that you really can't see them at the speeds that people travel. We have an existing tenant, the Red Cross, who has a wall sign currently. They have a current lease. They have a current requirement to have that sign. And so the new tenant, Victor's Care, really has no visibility at all in being a new medical tenant, especially. They really do need visibility from the road so that new patients can find them.
Sounds reasonable. And any questions from the board? All right. Open the public hearing. No public. We will close the public hearing.
Great. Good.
And so I'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
I can make a motion here for the request at 4190 Telegraph Road for the secondary wall sign and for the sign to exceed 10 square feet in the OR1 district. I'm going to move that go ahead and be approved as requested. Based on the information presented, the applicant did demonstrate all the standards for practical difficulty. Compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would be unduly burdensome because of the commercial nature of this property on Telegraph Road and the need to have visible signage for prospective patients. There is no injustice to the adjoining neighbors by reason of the fact that this is a commercial area and there are similar signs located on businesses nearby. There are unique circumstances with the property, given, again, its location on Telegraph Road and the need for additional signage, and this is not self-created due to the reasons stated. All necessary permits should be made within 1 year and obtained prior to installation of the sign.
Support.
So I have motion and support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Good
Good
night.
evening. Next board meeting is December 10th, 2024. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right.
Support.
Motion support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.